messenger and the accepting of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guest and I bring you messages to establish what you need in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Whitney Walker. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching this show live at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Rae, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, guided meditation, angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. And I've also created a transformational journey to help you take charge of your destiny and a journey through lifetimes. Now, each episode of the show will cover various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Whitney Walker. He'll be talking about the concept behind Women Waken, which is about restoring divine feminine, harmony, balance, and women discovering their gifts and the need to heal to stop seeking external means of release. Now, Winnie is a licensed marriage and family therapist living in North California. In addition to talk therapy, Whitney works as a recovery coach and spiritual guide. Now, her favourite offering is to do tarot readings for clients and friends. We might get a little bit of that later. Now, Whitney values intuition and authentic expression in her work. And when working with clients, she focuses on restoring harmonic balance and creating alignment. Now, Whitney has just opened her own private practice in the Bay Area and has begun to speak more openly about her ideas about the return of the divine feminine to our world and how it can begin to change the experience of life on our planet. Now, these ideas form the concept of Women Waken, her website and passion project. So I'm really looking forward to hearing more about this. So without further delay, hello, Whitney, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Hi, Rae. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. So before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind you that you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Whitney and I want to be part of this show. So please do not be shy. So Whitney, why don't you tell us more about your journey and then the concept behind Women Waken?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm a mental health therapist. I've been licensed for a few years now. And, I was drawn to that work because I've always been interested in, connecting with others and finding out what's true for them, what's really going on for them, how they're feeling, and how they can reach a greater state of peace with themselves and in their lives. So I pursued therapy, and then, it's really moved me towards the work that I'm focusing on now and wanting to bring forth through Women Waken, and by focusing on the divine feminine in general, is that, the more that I've worked with clients and just been, amongst friends and talk with just others in our world, is that there's a great imbalance currently in terms of, the balance between sort of doing and creating and, moving and just balance and harmony and grounding, which creates a lot of dysfunction. And it manifests as so many of the things that I see in the rooms of therapy, which is addiction, disorders, whether it's, an eating disorder or obsessive disorder, and also just, the great amounts of depression and anxiety that exist in our world. And, it was about 2 years ago that something really just kind of came over me, and I just became really sort of preoccupied with getting more involved in societal issues and just kind of looking at every sector of our society. None of them are really functional, and that they don't really seem to be able to produce or enable what they set out to do, and I asked why, and I look at my clients and I would ask, why is there so much anxiety and depression? Why are we all, just really dysfunctional internally and externally? The concept of the divine feminine is, it's ancient, right? It's been around forever. And so I just kept coming across it and just this notion of, that just as important as growth is, again, rooting, is grounding.
Yeah.
And recognizing that's what we don't have. So I started reaching out to more people and just getting really curious about this idea and just seeing how it really played into, the idea of people, of wellness and also flourishing, because as a therapist, I think about, I meet someone and I think, well, you identify first, like what's causing them, distress, what's causing them dis-ease within. And then you look at, well, how do we heal? Once we identify, how do we heal that? But then once you heal, how do you flourish? And I think unfortunately right now we don't have a lot of room for flourishing because we're all suffering a lot, most of us, So that's what I think about a lot. And I think that the answer in a big part is an introduction of what's been lacking or absent, which are the divine feminine qualities, which is not to say that we don't need masculine. Of course, we need both, right? It's the yin and the yang. But right now it's very, again, the balance is off. It's way in one direction. We got a whole lot of that masculine energy and very little of the feminine. And so, what I really want to do is inspire women like yourselves and bring together women like you and others who are tapping into more of that sort of intuitive and natural yearning and that gift to restore balance, to restore harmony. Because I think that that's sort of the new wave. When we look at feminism, and it's done so many wonderful things, but I've talked to a lot of people, both in my generation, but also, my mom's or my parents' generation, that, feminism was a lot about women got a presence, but they felt in a lot of ways they had to show up in a masculine way because it was a male world. It's a male's world, and it still is. And I think the shift is going to happen when we decide we're going to show up as women and we're going to bring those feminine qualities, and it's going to restore balance, because no longer will it just be about growth and profit and power. It has to be about harmony and balance and love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of like need to have that balance between both. So what's your experience, with people with addictions, and that, how does that tend to play out?
Yeah. Well, so I specialize in substance abuse and addiction and disorders, as I mentioned. And part of that is because I myself am in recovery from addiction, substance abuse, and also from an eating disorder. So, what I see over and over in others and what I experience for myself is that, when we get into an addiction, we're either trying to avoid something or soothe something that we feel that we can't do on our own. So we seek external means to get some relief. And that to me is the crux of any addiction disorder. And underneath that is kind of this fundamental sort of disregard or rejection of the self. And because a lot of addiction is based in trauma. We go through trauma, we don't know how to process it. We don't know what to do with it. And there's also a lot of shame. So those trauma and shame combined together are just a pretty gnarly mix that create a lot of, just detachment from the self. And the greater that detachment grows, the more we're going to seek something that helps us to feel a semblance of connection, of peace. And unfortunately, we can use substances in order to feel that way. And then becomes a physical dependence, a mental dependence, and emotional dependence. So it fires on all three cylinders. And, we obviously know that just, the devastation of that, because sadly, our world is riddled with addictions.
Yeah. Yeah. So how easy do you think it is, because obviously you see people that, I mean, obviously celebrities or whatever, they go into rehab, they come out, they kind of like continue, they go into rehab, they come out. Do you think that there could be more that they could be doing, or is it just themselves that are doing it? Do they just not having the healing, or?
Yeah, I think that I think it's developed in that a lot of recovery centers now do look more at the source. They are trying to go a little bit deeper and look at the actual person. But I think that too often it just becomes more about treating the symptoms than treating the source, because you can get somebody to stop, disengaging from the behavior, but it's usually only temporary. If people feel threatened enough, if they have enough repercussions and consequences, then they can stop the behavior for a while. But if you don't get to the source, then it's just going to come back, because you're still going to have the same thing, your same dilemma, which was you were trying to feel better, you're trying to get some relief, and eventually you're going to want to engage in those behaviors again because you're still hurting. But if you get to that source, you know, the desire to treat it goes away because it's gone, it's not there. So I do think that for the most part, we don't really know yet in a lot of ways how to get to that. But again, that brings me back to why I'm so driven to bring women together who are having this innate and sort of intuitive means of healing, because it's true healing, right? Like the work that you do and others, where you really kind of connect with, you know, your senses and your instincts and intuition and just the energies around you. And you recognize that you're something more than just, you know, where we find ourselves in this life, that we're some part of something bigger, we're more powerful than we recognize in a, you know, in a truly wonderful way, not just in like the way that we've come to see power on this earth, which is power is might. It is, you know, gaining notoriety, is gaining, you know, like a certain position in the world. But what our true power is just ourselves. It's within us. And we've really turned away from that, you know? So back to the nature of healing is that, you know, I think it is that divine aspect that's going to be a game changer when we finally recognize that if we actually want to change what we see around us that we don't want, we have to go deep. We have to do, you know, really thorough, go through thorough means, not just a quick fix, you know. And that's another issue that's sort of more the masculine, is let's do something that gets a quick result, right? We want, you know, we want reinforcement. We want to feel good right away. And the feminine takes its time a little more. It's more about patience rather than, you know, immediate results.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of like balance, weigh things up a little bit more, and okay, well that one, to, you know, how's it go? So when you're working with clients, how do you actually get them to go deep within? Because I'm assuming that some will kind of like be resisting.
Yeah. You know, a lot of the work that I do when I first set out and people are, you know, in this place, and you know, it's a really pretty unpleasant place when you're in the grips of an addiction. You know, is inviting them to kind of do that, as we might call shadow work, or the work where you kind of look within and you look at the stuff that you've been avoiding. Because again, as I said earlier, when we're in addiction, we're trying to avoid or soothe something. But the longer that we run away from what's with it, because we can't get away from who we are, we can't get away from what's in us, but we try to, you know, a lot of us are trying. I mean, again, in our world, people are constantly doing, because they don't want to just be with themselves. You know, a lot of people don't like to be alone. They don't like to face who they are. So that's the biggest thing, is that I, you know, sort of offer to people, kind of slow down and see if they're maybe a little bit willing to look within and see what is it that you're running from? You know, that's such an important question to ask anybody, is, you know, what are you running from and why? And because there within lies the answer of why they're engaging in this behavior that's causing them great strife, right?
Yeah, makes absolute sense. Yeah, what you're running from, and that, because that'll kind of like makes you stop and go, oh, I don't think I'm running from anything. What do you mean, I'm not running from anything?
I'm not running. Oh, really? Okay.
I'm doing a fast walk.
Exactly. And then another question that I remember the first time I asked this to a client, it just kind of came to me. And then I started asking all of my clients, because I got almost the same answer. So I asked them, you know, they'll be talking, I'll say, well, you know, they'll say, well, I'm really unhappy, or I can't seem to stop doing this, or I don't know what I want. And I'll say, well, who are you? And 99% of my clients will say, I don't know. You know, I have no idea who I am. And I think that is the key issue right now in our world, is that, you know, most people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
We know what we can be. We know what we can do to make others see us in a certain way, to be accepted in a certain way. But we don't know who we are. And, you know, that again will create a lot of dysfunction, because it means if you don't know who you are, then you can't really know why you do something. You just do it. And we have a lot of that. We do what we think we're supposed to do. We do what we think people expect of us, and we detach from our true selves, and that is a huge component of the divine feminine. Is it's reconnecting with the truth about who we are, about why we're here, about why we want to do something. And that's kind of lost, I think, to a large degree. So, and I also ask people that because there's a quote that I really like that says, how many cares one loses when one decides not to be something, but to be someone. So I challenge my clients to ask, because when I ask, what are you? They'll often say, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm a wife, or I'm a mother. And I say, no, what are you? Not your roles. If you took away all your titles, all some things that you are, what are you? They don't know. So I think discovering that is really going to be create a big shift, and that's what I want to be a part of. I want to encourage people to see that they are someone, not just something, and to discover how brilliant that is. Because I think that once we all tune into that, someone that we are, we let our light shine, our gifts shine, right?
Yeah.
And that's big. And, because I think we do live in, we currently live in based on a falsehood, which is that we are what we produce, and that our worth is conditional. I think that's one of the biggest lies that's most affecting us right now, is that we think that our worth as a human is conditional. Therefore, we have to do certain things to gain worth. But that is inherently untrue. Our worth is innate. It is with us always. But we are living our lives just thinking that, I have no worth unless this or that or the other thing.
Yeah.
And that's just ingredients to really find reason to reject ourselves. And then that's when we find ourselves in the cycle of addiction, of depression, of all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is true. A lot of people are kind of like really lost.
Yeah.
Because of everything that is going on around, and as you're saying, it is a lot of masculine energy, that is changing to getting more feminine. But yeah, the feminine, if you think about it, 400,000 years ago or whatever, women it was kind of like women were holding the space, were actually nurturing and allowing, and then it just all changed, and the patriarchal just started to come in and take us in a different direction. So it's kind of like gone from women to men, and now we need to get it back to that balance of equal men and women.
Yeah. And I think that's what's exciting about this. And I know a lot of us right now are really, we feel uneasy because I think most people notice something's happening, something is going on, and they again, they don't want to look at it because it's going to challenge our fundamental beliefs about life and ourselves and who we are and why we're here. But it is that shift. It is the universe itself, or the earth, or Mother Nature, whatever you want to call it, is trying to create that balance and restore. And I think to your point, I think what's exciting is that we're going into something that maybe as our species has never had before, which is we used to maybe be all the way in the feminine when we, 400,000 years ago, and it was all about, just being that nurture and just kind of being able to sustain and be prosperous. But then, the masculine came along, and we've had this incredible growth. We've had so much innovation in the past 100 years. We're capable of incredible things, and that's awesome. But we have to have both. And so when those two combine, it could be so exquisitely beautiful when people can not only enjoy the things around them, but feel good in who they are and feel empowered, that they don't have to have this title or that job, but just by being themselves, we each have a unique gift to bring to the table, masculine and feminine, or anywhere in between. And that's exciting. It's just going to be uncomfortable to get there, because any change is kind of scary and uncomfortable, but I think it's coming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we were definitely in the right time on Earth at this moment in time. We chose to be here for that particular, but everyone here, if every living thing chose to be on Earth at this time to try and bring, this about, and then the more people that do kind of like waking up to it, is going to be absolutely brilliant, and as you say, when women waken, and they actually start bringing their feminine in to be leaders rather than being female and bringing in male attributes to be leaders. It's allowing the feminine to become the leader.
Yeah, exactly.
So you said earlier, have you, because mentioned earlier that you do tarot, have you always been intuitive? Have you always used your intuition or tarot cards, or is that something that came in later in your life?
Tarot specifically came in later. It came in a year ago. It actually came right at 2020. I actually was gifted a tarot deck at a New Year's party after, like, I just entered the new decade and it was like, time to go, like time to get in, tap into that. And I was like, what? No, what's this? Because I'd never, thought about doing tarot or that I had any of those abilities. I've always been interested in spirituality and, guides and, all those sort of things. But I never felt like I had that attunement or that gift. But that kind of felt like a sign to me to have somebody literally hand me a deck and say, this is yours now. So I thought I better look into this. And it's definitely escalated in the past year. I think just a different understanding of what it means to listen to your inner voice, to that inner guidance, to notice that there are more than just the five senses, that there are other senses and things to kind of connect with, to give us guidance and wisdom. And just acknowledging that when you do kind of start to listen and follow more your heart and your instinct, things tend to kind of come together, synchronicity, like meeting you and getting to be on your show and, getting to work with you, just things like that, and coming into, a place of other people who are kind of have this collective thought. So yeah, I would say that it started in the past year, but I've always been very curious about it. I've always been curious about, the esoteric and the cosmic and all of that.
Do you think that goes back to your childhood? Do you think it was always there from the beginning?
Yeah, I do. I look at, some of my both my grandmothers on both sides were these very strong, very wise women. They were very assured of themselves. They really stood their ground. And I feel their presence with me. I feel that energy, like this strong feminine energy that's just like ready to take a step forward. So I think I always sort of, noticed that, but I didn't really have anyone around me who was spiritual when I was younger. And so I was just always kind of sort of seeking it out. But then as I got older, more and more people would come into my life with different notions. People would talk about a soul or a spirit, and, about like our true nature of our being. And I was just very receptive to that. And that really resonated with me. So again, it just sort of little things along the way caught momentum. And now I just feel I feel more clear than ever about what it is that my sole purpose, right?
Yeah.
Your soul's calling why you're here. And it feels like it's sort of formulated, and now I feel ready to kind of step out with that. And that's why when I launched my private practice this summer, I made my website Women Waken, not because that had to do with my therapy, but because that was sort of a message that I wanted to start offering, and I wanted to find a way to do that. And I think that was a good way, to just kind of get that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's absolutely brilliant name. Women Waken. To really kind of like get that energy of the feminine to really move forward, and start coming into the fore and helping and connecting, and it is it is now all about connecting and working with others, to create that web, to create that energy, to make things a lot better on Earth. And you were saying during our chat that you actually came to England. You've actually been to England.
Yeah. So that, I say that sort of the spiritual thing kind of picked up momentum. In 2019, I didn't call it a calling at the time because I didn't think of it. Now I think of those things that way. When I get drawn towards something, I think, oh, I'm being called towards this. It's but at the time I have family in the UK, in England, in Oxford, and I was about to start a new job. And I thought, well, what better time? I can take time off my, in between jobs, and I can go travel. So I went to the UK, and I talked to my family before I went about our heritage. My last name Walker. We obviously have, English.
Yeah.
But they shared that we also have Scottish and Irish ancestry in our family. And so I did a trip. I flew into Scotland, and then I went down to Oxford, England, and then I went to Ireland and did a road trip for a week. And after that trip, it literally was like something had gotten like shaken up, or something joined me or something, because I came home and I was just on a mission. And actually, one of the first things I did, I felt this calling to start a women's group. And I just became very drawn to the idea of women needing to speak and share their truth and see what happens when we do that. And so, of course it was, some sort of energy that was awakened at that time. I think it's the connection to my ancestors. I believe that, we often carry on the work of our ancestors, and that they're here with us to guide us. Again, I wouldn't have thought this like 5 years ago. I would have said like, that's weird. And I don't know what that means. But now it just feels like, oh yeah, that's what it is. They're right here with me, and they want me to do this work, and they're working through me. And yeah, so.
Yeah, it's amazing how synchronicities start, and you end up going places, and that. So you've obviously connected with your Celtic roots and the goddess energy and the goddess feminine energy, of holding that space and healing, and that which is absolutely brilliant. So, as most people know, I normally do a guided meditation angel card reading, but when I have guests on that have their own little unique abilities, I kind of like say, would you mind doing something for us? If you've got your tarot cards with you at the moment, perhaps you might want to do a reading for those watching. Hey!
Yes, let's do it. I would love to pull a card. I think just one card.
Yeah.
Whoever who's watching this is for you, for all of us. So I think maybe we're just asking what kind of thought or premise or idea wants to come through after, whoever's listening in on this. We've brought a lot of energies in. We're going to let them share something with us. Okay. All right. So we're going to ask for a card for the highest good and greatest guidance for everybody listening. We have the Spirit 2, which in a deck is the Two of Wands. So the wand cards are all about creative energy. The wands are the magic wands, and it's when you're in that element of wanting to create and come forward. And it's interesting because I just had an event last week for the full moon. There was a full moon in Leo. It was a wolf moon, a wolf full moon in Leo. And what that means is, this energy is about going after your big goals. It's about going after those things that you've kind of put aside, maybe for the past year, but maybe your whole life. The things that you always said, well, someday I'll do this. Someday I'll, pursue this. Someday I'll go. But, the Two of Wands is all about is actually taking action. It's about actually deciding you're going to set up shop and you're going to start doing something about this idea that was started just as a notion, as a thought. But 2 is when you kind of get courageous. It's when you're like, I'm going to use my personal energy and creativity, and I'm going to get going. And that's what the whole world is feeling right now with that. So the new moon really pushes that. It's a moon in Leo, and Leo is the lion, which is all about courage and determination. So, and I think on a worldwide scale, people are feeling like, last year was kind of crazy and we're all kind of stuck and we don't know what's going to happen. I might as well go do the things I wanted to do and just be bold, because we don't know what's next or what's going to happen. And, we don't know where we'll be. So yeah, so that's a great card.
That's an absolutely brilliant card.
Yeah,
And
so everyone watching, it means go do it. Whatever it is, whatever you're thinking, it's a big yes. This card is a giant yes. It's yes. If you're thinking like, I think I want to start my own show, go do it. Or you want to start whatever it is, it's yes. That's a yes. Go get them. Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. And Ocean says, hello, Ocean.
Hi, Ocean.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant name. So I'm now going to do a card. So I'm going to use Oracle cards. So just give and cleanse and bless them. And again, I'm just going to do, what does everyone who's watching this need to know for their highest good at this moment in time? So, okay. So I'm going to go with this one because this one really did want to come out. And that we've got cleansing waters, purification activates a vibrant life force.
Ooh.
And this one keeps coming out everywhere. And it is kind of like saying, it is time to purify yourself, to actually start getting rid of that stuff that doesn't serve you anymore. Whether that's addictions or food, behaviors, people, and when you start to release that stuff, you actually start, your life force starts to actually expand, and you start vibrating higher, and you start bringing in all these new energies and everything to you. So in tying with your card, it is kind of like saying, get that cleansing done and start doing that stuff that you should be doing. Start cleansing.
Yeah.
Bring that new energies in, and who knows what it's going to bring.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And it is so complimentary because, as we know, you have to let old energies go so that the new can come in. Until we're in the house and feel like we're starting feeling purified, like we've let go of the things that don't serve us anymore, that are old, then the new, we get that creative, you're ready to kind of have this new pursuit. So I think that's so beautiful.
It is. And I just, again, it's like all those synchronicities, everything, both the cards are absolutely perfect. And Ocean says, good messages. Thank you, Ocean. And that, yeah, it's amazing. I just love the way cards work, and the fact that that was tarot cards and oracle cards, and the fact that they can work in combination or complement each other, which I think is an absolutely brilliant thing, that different modalities, different expressions can be brought together to work together as a combination or in complementary to each other. And that. So, Whitney, do you have any insights or thoughts to leave our viewers?
Ooh, insights and thoughts. Well, I think it's just kind of reiterating what I've hit on, which is, in order for us to move forward and in order to really enable us to have that excitement and creation about who we are and what we can be, we do have to heal first. So what I'd encourage and leave with everyone is, maybe take a minute, take some time in stillness and silence, whether it's meditation, whether it's a walk, in nature, on your own, just time with yourself where you let yourself kind of slow down and think about, as we said, what are we running from? Is there something inside that's asking to be seen? Because as a therapist, when you do work with trauma, one thing I encourage is that our trauma wants to be seen. It needs to be seen in order to heal. Because when something really horrific happens to us, our instinct can be to kind of just want to push it away and pretend like if we push it away, then it's gone. But it needs to be seen so that it can be healed. And once we heal, then we can really kind of, feel at peace. And then we can come forth with that creative energy, with, our true light. So, that message is that each and every one of us has magic to bring to this world, and it's needed right now. It's like a Christmas tree. Like, we need every single light to be lit up so that we can be truly shining. Like, can you imagine if our world was just lit up in the universe?
Oh, perfect. It would be perfect.
And we're on the brink of that, but right now we're afraid to let our light shine. But we don't want to be afraid of that. We want to be excited about that, because that's going to be that new experience that we've never known before, and it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And Desiree says, woo, yay.
That's my buddy. Hi, Desiree. Thank you.
Oh, see, it's brilliant. You know, you've got the people around you that are really sort of like going forward
Yeah.
bringing that beautiful energy, positive energy in, which is absolutely amazing. So I hope everyone that you've enjoyed this and found insightful, and that the words of wisdom Whitney has given you will help you further on your journey. So if people want to connect with you, Whitney, how do they do that?
They can visit my website, which is womenwaken.com. They can connect with me. They can request to set up a tarot session, spiritual guidance session. They can seek me out for therapy, for recovery. So that's the best way to connect.
Okay, cool. And what I'll do is I'll put the link in the comments after the show, so people just need to click on it and go straight to your website. With
And
that.
I'll also be starting a podcast this month. I'll be sharing that through my website. There'll be links to that on my website. So, and it'll be similar to the message and the premise that you have, Rae, which is so beautiful, which is to people to come and talk. Because I think we can use as many of those, platforms as we can have. So that will be mine, and that will be launching and can be found on my website as well next month.
That'll be absolutely brilliant. So yeah, so do check it out. The more of these shows that are going out there and that you can tap into, you're going to get so much more wisdom, and there's so many more women that are going to be able to share their message with everyone. So that's absolutely brilliant. So I really look forward to listening to that and seeing what guests you have on there
and being on the show, because you're going to be a guest.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'd love to. Yes, I'd love to be a guest on your show. So thank you for that. So everyone, I do hope you've enjoyed the show today. And of course, if you have reached a crossroads in your life and need help finding your destiny and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. So please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to find out more about each other and how I can actually help you on your journey. And of course, I always have the Angel Wings membership community where you get a chance to grow with ascended masters, gods, goddesses, archangels, guided meditations, oracle cards, and other members of the group to spread your wings and soar. And of course, if you sign up to my weekly newsletter, you get a couple of free gifts on there to de-stress as well. So thank you everyone for watching, and I would like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you do. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when the show goes live. And I look forward to you all joining me same time, same place next week. And again, thank you so much, Whitney. It's been brilliant having you on your show.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rae. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.
Bye.